You're a small, feathered animal, 66 million years ago. Low branch, first light. Ferns below you. Duck-billed dinosaurs moving through the mist. Then the sky turns white. Not sunrise, white. Brighter than the sun, in the wrong part of the sky. And for a few seconds, nothing happens at all. You have 10 minutes. 3/4 of all life on Earth is about to die. Everything you can see from this branch. But not you, not your kind. So how? How does an animal with hollow bones, weighing less than a coffee cup, survive the worst day in the history of this planet, when a 9-ton tyrannosaur cannot? In 2019, a paleontologist named Robert De Palma published a discovery from a site in North Dakota called Tanis, 2,000 miles from the crater. He found fish piled in a jumbled mass, buried instantly, and lodged in their gills were tiny beads of glass. Molten rock thrown into space by the asteroid, falling back through the sky. Those fish breathed in the impact. They died within an hour of it, 2,000 miles away. That's how fast the world ended. The asteroid was 6 miles across, moving at 40,000 miles an hour. It punched a hole 110 miles wide into the crust off the coast of Mexico. Within the hour, the sky itself turned into a broiler. Forests ignited on their own. If you stood in the open, you cooked. But the fire is not what killed the dinosaurs. The impact vaporized a seabed full of sulfur and blasted it into the atmosphere. And there it stayed. The sun went out. Not dim, out. Photosynthesis stopped for nearly 2 years. Plants died. Everything that ate plants died. Everything that ate them died. 3/4 of all species were gone, and not one land animal heavier than 55 pounds survived. Anywhere. And here's the thing. Birds had nothing. Look at who made it through. Crocodiles survived, because a crocodile can lie motionless in a river for a year without eating. Small mammals survived because they burrowed and slept through it. Every survivor had the same trick. Shut the body down. Go underground. Wait. A bird can do neither. A bird is warm-blooded with a furnace for a metabolism. It burns through its reserves in hours. It has to eat constantly, or it dies overnight. It cannot hibernate. It cannot burrow. Hollow bones, no fat, no refuge. In a world with no sun, no plants, and no insects, a bird is the worst possible design you could be wearing. By every measure, birds should have been the first thing to die. And here's the part nobody tells you. Most of them were. The Cretaceous sky was full of birds. The dominant group was called the enantiornithines, the opposite birds. Teeth in their beaks, claws on their wings, living in the trees. They had ruled the air for 100 million years. On the day the asteroid hit, every single one of them died. Every species. Gone. What crawled out the other side was a small, unglamorous handful nobody would have bet on. So the real question isn't how birds survived. It's why those birds survived. The first weapon was the beak. In 2016, a team led by Derek Larson studied thousands of fossil bird teeth from the layers before the impact. The toothed birds died. The toothless ones lived. And it comes down to one word: seeds. When the sun goes out and every plant on Earth dies, one thing remains in the soil: seeds. Life in suspended animation, waiting for light. Teeth are for tearing flesh, and there was no flesh left. A beak was the key to the only pantry on the planet. The second weapon was the ground. Look at the rock from that moment, anywhere in the world. Below the line, tree pollen. Above it, tree pollen vanishes, replaced by an explosion of fern spores. The forests of Earth burned down and did not come back for 1,000 years. In 2018, a researcher named Daniel Field showed what that meant. Every bird lineage that survived was a ground-dwelling lineage. Every one. The opposite birds nested in the canopy, fed in the canopy, hid in the canopy. When the canopy burned, their lives didn't get harder. Their world was deleted. The third weapon was speed. Not flight speed, life speed. Cut open the bone of an opposite bird and you find growth rings, like a reptile. They took a year to grow up. A modern bird has no rings. Egg to adult in weeks. The slow birds needed a stable world. The fast ones only needed a window. But the real weapon, the one that actually saved them, was that they were nobody. Think about what the opposite birds were. They were the specialists, beautiful, perfectly adapted. Teeth for their prey, claws for their branches. 100 million years of evolution had sharpened them into exactly the right animal for exactly that world. And that is precisely why they died. Every adaptation is a bet that tomorrow will look like today. Specialization is a contract you sign with an environment. And on one afternoon in the Cretaceous, the environment tore the contract up. The birds that lived had never signed it. Scruffy, ground-scratching seed-eaters who were good at nothing in particular and therefore had nothing to lose. The asteroid never asked what you were good at. It asked what you could live without. Then the sky cleared. Ferns gave way to shrubs, shrubs to forests, and into an empty world walked that scruffy handful, and they exploded. Eagles and hummingbirds, penguins and parrots, ostriches and owls. They colonized Antarctica. They fly over the Himalayas. 11,000 species today, more than all the mammals on Earth combined. Because here's the truth. Birds didn't survive the dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs. The dinosaurs never went extinct. One twig on that enormous tree, a twig nobody would have picked, squeezed through the worst hour in the history of life and inherited the Earth. So the next time a pigeon lands on the sidewalk beside you and you don't even look up. That animal is the last living branch of a dynasty that ruled this planet for 165 million years. Its ancestors watched the sky turn white. They watched everything larger, stronger, faster, and more beautiful than them burn. And they lived because they were small, because they were plain, and because they were never that important to begin with. And over time, that was enough.